Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you had a nice lunch and ready to go for the FFVP webinar we got going here. Last year, Jennifer Mitchell ran this program, and she's moved on to another agency. So right now, it's kind of in my ballpark. It's pretty much, I'm sure most of you are returning FFVP folks from last year. Not much has changed. This is more of an update for you as opposed to anything. If any of you are new to your district and new to the fresh fruit and vegetable program, this is a good highlight for you. And this will be on our website as well. So if you miss anything here, you'll be able to review it again on the website. Okay. Once again, my name is Chuck Ziera. Administrative program specialist here in the Olympia office. I'm going to go ahead and start rolling here. Second screen here, it's just an overview of the fresh fruit and vegetable program. The purpose of it is to create a healthier school environment by providing healthy foods to children. That's why this program was started, and it expands the variety of produce students consume. As we all know, students are a little hesitant to try any new things. I still am as an adult. It increases students' produce consumption and makes a difference in students' diets to improve impact their present and future health. Okay, I'll go to the next screen. The appropriation revenue code doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but the code is 6198-01, and CFDA 10.582, that is the apportionment code. If you got any questions about this type of stuff, you probably contact Heidi or Jeff here in our office in Olympia. Okay, program overview of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. It starts with USDA, comes to OSPI, goes out to you and out to the individual schools. This is an individual school program as opposed to a district program. So when you receive apportionment for your district, it's per school, and you need to utilize the funds that are approved for each school only for that school. You can't mix and match, okay? Schools must offer fresh fruit and vegetables during normal school hours only. Offer fresh fruit and vegetable independent of school breakfast and school lunch program. That means you need to offer these fresh fruits and vegetables at off times, not during breakfast time and not during lunchtime. Okay. Also, you would need to make accommodations for students with disabilities and publicize the availability of free produce. Training. It's pretty important, and what I guess I need to apologize a little bit to some of you folks, because I know this training probably is usually held before your program starts. But once again, Jennifer left, so we're kind of a little bit in disarray, and I know we're running a little late, and some of you have already probably turned in a claim of that nature. But next year we will probably have this webinar in early August, something like that. So you'll be well aware of any changes that might have happened. Okay. Training. OSPI provides training to you, and it is expected that you folks go out and train your kitchen staff, teaching staff, and support staff appropriately. Okay, program administration record keeping, pretty important. Just like when you receive an administrative review, you will be reviewed also for your fresh fruit and vegetable program. The record keeping is the same as NSLP, 3 years plus current fiscal year, unless part of an appeal or a corrective action. You need to keep all records and documented training and attendance, documented nutrition, education, promotion, and partnership activity. Support all line items on reimbursement claims and procurement documentation. Program administrative, the spending plan is required for each school participating. And once again, when I say each school, that is for each individual school. So if you're a district that has multiple schools as part of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, you would need to do a spending plan for each of those schools. And of course, all of you have already done that because spending plans were required before you were received funds. So once again, I apologize that we were behind the ball on that, but I'm sure you got the information you needed, and hopefully next year will be a little bit more prompt. Okay. And on your spending plans for each school, and it shows how each school will spend their allocation. And your program materials and required documents section can be found in the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable website on our website. I'm sure most of you have been there, and if you haven't been there, certainly go there and check out everything I talk about today. Any forms or anything like that is on the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable website on OSPI's webpage. Okay, so you can always find that information there. Okay, program administration spending plan, allocation, awarded funds. Once again, allocations are assigned by OSPI, which is us. And this year there are two periods, July 1st, 2017 through September 30th, 2017, and then October 1 through September of 2018. This year, the federal government decided they wanted the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program to be on a federal fiscal year. So things are a little bit different this year than they have been before. You will not be receiving any more funds for startup like you have in the past for September. So these funds you will be receiving for the second period, which is October 1st through September 30th, 2018, is all the funds you'll be receiving. So you'll need to plan appropriately so that you have startup funds in September. I hope I explained that right. And if you got any questions, certainly feel free to email me or put a Q&A on there or something. That's quite a bit different from what you're used to from the past. Okay, expenditures are very prescriptive. There's administrative costs cannot exceed 10% of total funding. So of course you're getting total funding of $100. You can't spend more than $10 on administrative costs. But you don't need to use the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable funds for administrative costs, meaning that if you just want to absorb it in your normal food service program and say you're not going to charge the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program for administrative costs, you can have that zero. Okay, the thing is you can't go over 10% of whatever your total allotment is. And then operational costs, direct labor cannot exceed 30% of your total funding. Once again, some school districts do not charge Fresh Fruit and Vegetable for administrative or direct labor costs. They just absorb that into their National School Lunch Program. You're welcome to do that if you wish. And if you do that, then you can use 100% of your funds to buy produce, vegetables, produce, or small supplies as needed. As you can see on the screen, it says produce, small supplies must be at least 60% of funding. So 30, 60, and 10, 100% of your funding. Administrative costs include labor, meaning management type labor, staff time in program 98, travel costs, indirect costs, equipment must be pre-approved if it's going to cost more than $200, and you must follow proper procurement procedures if it's going to be over $200. The cost must be expensed no later than December 31, and equipment must be on site no later than December 31. And there is an equipment form on our website, Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program website, that you would fill out and send to us for approval if it's, once again, a piece of equipment that's going to cost over $200. I think that's pretty much the same as it was last year. Operational costs, Operational costs, direct labor costs, and small supplies. Small supplies meaning cups, napkins, plates, and that type of stuff. And once again, per transaction cannot be greater than $200. Okay. Next, this is a copy of a spending plan. Once again, this is kind of after the fact. You've all turned in your spending plan, so you've worked through this already. So I'm just going to kind of pass over this pretty quick because it's after the fact already. As you can see, July 1, 17 through September 30th, 17. Second period is October 1, 17 through September 30th, 2018. But once again, you've already completed this. This is just an example of a spending plan. Once again, it's kind of mute. Say you're awarded $35,600. In this case, the district chose not to charge administrative costs, and they have estimated their direct labor costs and small supplies cost at $9,927 and some change, and operational costs, produce costs, $25,000. Anyway, they ended up with $100 left over, and that's fine. The ideal situation is to utilize all the funding that you have been allotted. So, typically in the past, Washington State, for the fresh fruit and vegetable program, districts have utilized approximately about 90% of the funds that were allocated. It would be nice if you'd use them all because it's free money. I certainly would encourage that. Okay. This is once again on our website. This is the equipment justification form. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to buy a cooler or a salad bar or something like that, it's going to cost a chunk of change of more than $200. Then certainly you would have to complete this form, send it back to us, and get it approved by us before you could purchase that piece of equipment. Okay. This is a timesheet. Once again, you will need to keep records, and if you decide to charge direct labor and administrative costs or labor to your fresh fruit and produce program, you'll need to maintain one of these time and labor sheets because you're going to charge your labor costs, or you're going to claim your labor costs on your claims. And during the administrative review, we're going to take a look at your fresh fruit and vegetable program, and we're going to check a month claim against your documentation to make sure that it matches. So if you say, if your documents on your timesheet here says that you spent $1,000 in the month of September for a fresh fruit and vegetable program, on your claim for the month of September, in that section, it should show $1,000. Okay, it's just like any other review that you get. Okay, so pretty important that you keep these up and accurate if you use them. Okay. And then this is for indirect costs. So if you choose to use indirect costs, you can find that on our website what the current indirect costs are. Okay. Okay, those are just telling you where you can find it. Once again, you can find the indirect costs and the financial resources on our website. We have a very good website. All the information for administrative reviews and for fresh fruit and vegetable program, school breakfast program, national school lunch program, all that is on our website. We've developed that website really, really well for you folks. Okay. Okay, claim workbook. Most of you, I think, have probably already sent in your claim for September. Heidi, our financial advisor here at OSPI, she sends out a claim workbook. This year we're doing a little bit differently. Let me just move forward a little bit on that. This part's the same. Thing is, with we used to, in the past, I believe what Jennifer did was sent each of you a claim workbook. with your name and everything on there, and your allotment in there. This year we have put a template claim book on our website. You go out and grab that, and then you type in your district number, and your information populates automatically. And I'm sure you've all experienced that already. And if you haven't, we've had some phone calls about that. And that's how it works. And then you'll complete your workbook for the month, send it to Heidi. She'll review it, process your claim, and send that back to you. And you use the same workbook per quarter. Okay, I'm sure Heidi's explained that to you, and or you've been on our website and read the directions. These are quarter based. So every quarter you'll get a new workbook, and you'll follow the same process. Okay, it's a little bit different than last year. Last year, once again, we sent you individually workbooks with your information already in it. This year, you go out and grab a template, type in a few numbers, and it populates your specific information for each school. Okay, well, not for each school, but for your district. And that's a good point. You have to consolidate your school. Say you have 5 schools that are on a fresh fruit and vegetable program. You will need to consolidate those for this claim. Okay, and you'll need to keep the documentation, because once again, on review, we'll ask for that information. Okay, and this workbook is this claim form is pretty important. It has to be accurate, and please make sure you have the documentation to follow up on it. And I'm not going to read through all the different items that it has here. It has first period expanded, second period expanded, and then it's got your direct labor costs and what percentage of the total award you're using, which is kind of nice. Once again, here it goes again. As you can see on the left-hand side, it has operational costs, administrative costs, and your total costs and your reimbursement total. And it's a running total, so it draws down as you each month as you send it to us, so you can see where you're at, which is kind of nice. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it is pretty self-explanatory. And in this case here, it warns you if you've overspent in a certain area. Say you've spent more than 30% on direct labor, it's going to give you this red warning. Okay, if you have overspent on administrative costs, it's going to give you a warning if you overspent more than 10%. So just be aware of that. And then this is a signature box. Once again, by clicking anywhere on the authorization box, you'll get a drop-down box to select one of the individuals authorized to submit fresh fruit and vegetable programs. Okay, so it's pretty well automated. So sort of like when you pull a template off our website, put in your district county number, and it automatically populates. Okay, all right. And once again, if you look at the bottom there, it shows you where to find the signature authorization form. If somebody else, excuse me, if somebody else other than yourself will be authorized to submit a claim, they definitely have to be on the signature authorization form. This just breaks it down. I think this is a little bit different from what you've seen last year as well. We've got it broken down a little bit more than what we had in the past on the operating costs. A little bit different is we got the invoice date, and then we got the case, a number of cases and/or pounds, cost per case, produce description, excuse me, and total cost. That is probably a little bit different. Then we have a section called direct labor costs. And once again, you put the employee's name and title, school name, pay rate, regular hours. It's pretty self-explanatory. And we go down to small supplies. Same process. Description, invoice cost, description again, and then you end up with a total on that. Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this either. This is direct labor costs, or excuse me, direct administrative costs. Once again, it explains what direct labor costs are: employee name, title, school name, pay rate, and it carries the total across. Travel and training, equipment. So we have everything broken down. And those totals that you have, you see in the bottom of where it says total claim total, it carries those totals down to there. That total equipment, indirect costs, net of adjustment, total administrative costs, and that gives you your total claim cost. And that total claim cost should be the claim number, the amount that you're claiming for that month. Okay, so it's kind of a check and balance. If you're an accountant, you probably love it. And then after you've completed your claim and it's correct, and then you submit it by email to Heidi Kidd, and that's your email address, and they're due by the 15th of the month before 5 o'clock. Okay. And once again, your claims are paid through apportionment revenue code 6198-01. And it's a federal revenue code of, 10.582. I think only one person has asked me what that was, and it was one of your business managers called to find out what that was, or wanted to know what it was. The next page here just shows you, once again, this is on our website, so you can find it. It shows you the claim month for all this year, and the first claim deadline and the final claim deadline. So please make sure you make those deadlines so you get paid in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. Procurement. We are stewards of taxpayers' money. OSPI, we're stewards of federal taxpayer money, and so are you folks, really. So procurement is pretty important that you follow procurement requirements and try to get the best deal you can. Basically, best stretch your dollars as far as you can. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat here. Okay, all entitlements using federal funds must follow the federal procurement process. Proper procurement, no matter how small the costs are, must be followed by any user of federal funds. Getting in my head of myself. Procurement is the purchasing of goods and services. Anytime the LEA decides to purchase, it must go through a procurement process. There's no bottom threshold amount, okay? Procurement process ensures that LEA receives goods and services from the most responsible vendor, from the most responsive bid at the lowest possible price. Really, the procurement process is the same as it is for your school breakfast program or your national school lunch program. Once again, same as in the regular programs, you can't break up purchases. Just how can I explain that? You can't purchase smaller quantities a lot through the year, which if you would have added them together, it would have required you to follow a different procurement process. You cannot do that intentionally. Once again, that's the same as with school breakfast program or your national school lunch program. Informal procurement does not, the procurement of small purchase threshold is USDA is $150,000. Washington State is less than $75,000. You must follow the most restrictive limit, and the most restrictive limit is Washington State. So informal procurement procedures you would follow for purchases that are less than $75,000. Less than, not equal to, but less than. So if it's exactly $75,000, you would have to follow a different procurement procedure. And the small purchase requires solicitation for quotes, Specifics should be written prior to request for quotes. A minimum of 3 quotes requires detailed documentation. So when you do sort of like a milk bid or any of that type of stuff, bread bid, same process. Unless you're a bigger district. This is just kind of a I don't know, informal procurement solicitation record, just for your viewing. Just shows the process the specific district went through to purchase a stainless steel utility cart. So they basically got 3 quotes, and they picked the one that for $342 meets all specific requirements and is the lowest price. They don't always have to take, I think you probably all know this already, but you don't always, if you got the bid and a specific vendor bids the lowest, and that specific vendor has a history of providing poor service, or you've dealt with them before and they just didn't follow the contract, something like that. If you have justification such as that for not picking the lowest bid, then that would be fine. And as you all know, probably from the ARs you've received, a Buy American provision is big in the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program, as well as MSLP and School Breakfast program. But once again, this is Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program, so I'm sure pretty much it's not hard to meet this requirement. Program operations, division of expenditures. You have administrative expenses and operating expenses. Program operating expenses. The allowable expenses are, of course, the fresh fruit, fresh produce. I can't tell you why we always refer to fresh produce, because it's fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. So fruit should be on there as well. The requirements are whole, requiring prep, whole ready to eat, fresh vegetables cooked, pre-cut bulk, pre-packaged, ready to eat individual portions. Basically, we're saying don't buy canned. You can't use these funds to buy canned fruits and vegetables. Okay. You can also use this for low-fat, non-fat dip for vegetables, which would be considered small supplies. Non-food items, much small supplies such as cups, forks, paper plates, that type of stuff. And once again, labor. If you decide to charge your fresh fruit and vegetable program with labor, then you can charge that right here through the operating costs. Administrative expenses. These are the allowable administrative expenses: administrator labor, Program 98 coded employees, training expenses, travel and time, federal unrestricted indirect rate, excuse me, equipment defined as any single purchase less than equal to or less than $200, and must be approved. Anything above that must be approved by OSPI. Must be prorated, and you cannot use more than 10% of your funds for administrative costs. Okay, administrative tasks. Administrative tasks: menuing, ordering, tracking inventory, submitting claims. Operating tasks: preparing produce or fruit, delivering produce or fruit, cleaning up produce or fruit, and keeping produce or fruit safe. Menuing is the best practice to try to control your spending and for your fresh fruit and vegetable program. So even though it's a program that operates outside of school breakfast program and your national school lunch program, it's always a good idea to menu. That way you can order appropriately and spend appropriately. And plus it helps you create a good variety. Okay. All right. I like that. It says make sure you use fruits and vegetables. Serve veggies at least 25% of the month. Excuse me again. Oh, I got a frog in my throat. Okay, menu details. Dip for vegetables only. Limit for trying new veggies. Must be low or non-fat, 30% calories from fat. Cooked veggies optional. Do not add anything for flavoring. Once per week only. Must be offered with nutritional education. Ordering, follow proper procurement procedures. Order within storage capacity. Order for immediate use. Of course, we're going to do that because fresh fruits and vegetables do not have a long shelf life. Okay, they offer a mixture of produce to use up, meaning, say you still have some carrots left over or something, you can utilize that on your next day. And order tasting and snacking amounts. Tasting amounts, you don't want to offer more than one to two bites, and snacking amounts approximately 1/4 to a half cup. Okay, that's appropriate to do. Inventory and claims. Order only what is needed to prevent spoilage. Connect employees taking inventory and ordering. Very important. Once again, with fresh fruit and vegetables, they are perishable. And certainly the people who are ordering and the people who keep track of the inventory would be wise to make sure they communicate well. So we order and utilize fresh fruit and vegetables properly. Planned excess is not allowed, so don't purposely plan to have excess. Education. Schools are encouraged to offer complementary nutritional education. Once again, this program, Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, is a program that is utilized across our country, United States, so that it exposes students to different fruits and vegetables that maybe they've never been exposed to before, and plus they're nutritious. So we hope that you take that to heart, and that you try to provide some nutritional education out there to try to get the rest of the school district teachers and a PE teacher and those folks involved in promoting that for you, so that these kids can try new stuff. Okay. Cannot claim reimbursement for educators' time or materials. Be creative on how you go about nutritional education. This is just some pictures, some stuff that you can utilize. Pictures, kids like pictures, so it makes fruits and vegetables look fun, doesn't it? How can you have a great nutritional education? Develop nutritional education that fit the need of your students. Include nutritional education whenever possible, even on days the program is not offered. Collaborate with teachers and administrators. That's a big thing right there. You get everybody on board, and it certainly helps your cause a little bit. Consult with fresh fruit and vegetable partners to obtain no-cost promotional items like the pictures we saw earlier. Program administration, education, great nutritional education ideas, monthly, quarterly posters contest, which is kind of nice. I used to be a director of 5 school districts for 14 years, and we gave out little gifts like pencils and erasers and stuff like that. And you know what, the kids really, especially the little kids, they really like that kind of stuff. Mystery fruit or vegetable of the week, try it. It might work. Feature the daily produce on the serving line. Skits for assemblies, announcements, monthly menus for teachers and parents. Yeah, get parents involved too. PTA, that type of stuff. This fresh fruit and vegetable program, it's basically awarded money, free money. It's for you to utilize to help our students experience new things with fruits and vegetables. And put something if you do a newsletter. You know, the schools, individual schools do newsletters, especially at the elementary level. Put information about your fruit and vegetable program in your newsletters. Simple nutritional education ideas. Provide a produce fact sheet in the produce baskets for the teachers or students to read to the class. It's a good idea. Poster creations, singing songs. Offer a prize to introduce words and concepts. Within your school, within your community. This year, there were 151 pre-K through 8 schools within 67 districts in the state of Washington that received the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program allocations for 2017-18. I can tell you, I'm the one that allocated those funds, and there were quite a few more schools and districts that would have loved to have the fresh fruit and vegetable funds, but we ran out because we go down a list based on some requirements, and so there, you ought to feel yourself pretty fortunate to have received these funds, because there was still a lot of schools, districts, and schools that applied and were not able to receive funds because the amount we were awarded by the federal government would not support anymore. So to your horn on that, I mean, make that known to your school, to your administrators and stuff. To your horn on how much you're getting as well. This program is growing by leaps and bounds, so it's a good thing. Promoting in your community, reader boards, website, menus, newsletters, back to school night. I know most of you have your menus on your website. Promote your fresh fruit and vegetable program there. PTAs, once again, and nurses, just anybody that will listen to you. Try to get that out. And certainly your business manager would love it, as well as your superintendent, because it's not costing your district anything, and it's helping educate our students a little bit more with nutrition. So that's a good thing. Promoting your school, back to school night display. Do it, when you're I know Fife, we accepted applications during an open house and stuff. So I mean, that's a good time to promote the fresh fruit and vegetable program. It needs promoted. It does. It's not going to grow itself. So the more you do to promote it, the bigger your program will be. And once again, we like to spend all the funds. Last few years, talking to Jeff Booth here, our financial guy here at OSPI, he says, typically we spend between 80 and 90% actually of our funds. And this year we received about $4.5 million of fresh fruit and vegetable funds to distribute. So that means if we're only, that means we're leaving $400,000 plus on the table of that we're not spending. So it's unfortunate, because I know some of the schools that did not receive those funds probably would have loved to have them to spend. So please work hard to spend all the funds that you have. This is just some of these slides are from Jennifer from last year, and you probably saw them last year, and I just left them in this presentation just so that some of the new people could see some of the things you can do. I mean, this is in Wildwood. They made this scene. It's kind of cute. I like it. The next one here, where they got the kids, students involved. Fresh fruit and veggies, original fast food. I never thought of that, but I guess it is, huh? We participate in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Once again, promotion is important. Well, I'm going through this pretty fast. We're going to be done here pretty quick. Look and see if you have any questions that I might be able to answer for you. Program administration, partnering, local county extensions has a website there for you. Farm to school programs or local farmers. Probably some of you or a lot of you are probably involved in farm to school program. Dietitians, dietetic interns, local universities, local county health departments. Those are all good partners to promote your fresh fruit and vegetable program. Getting connected, OSPI website. Once again, that's our website. You go there and then you go click into the fresh fruit and vegetable program, and it's got all the information you need and all the forms you need. It's got a fact sheet and that type of stuff. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Well, here, this explains it to you right here. You go to our website. That was just that was on that page. Click on our website there, and then you go to the red arrows indicate. You go to Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Either location you can click on. It takes you to the same place, and then this is for your claims, and then this is where you can get your county district number. It's all once again on our website. And these are the folks that are promoting the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program this year. Wendy Barkley, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Excuse me, I'm kind of filling in for Jennifer Mitchell right now until we decide who will be operating the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program for OSPI in the future. And Heidi Kidd is the person of contact related to claims in your workbook. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to look at the Q&As. If you have any Q&As, you can go ahead and put them up there now, and I'll take a look at them and see if I can answer any of them as we're finishing this up. Okay. If not, then that is the end of the presentation, and appreciate you sitting in. I guess I talked a lot faster than I thought because I thought this would last about an hour and a half, and this really lasts only about 50 minutes. So I guess I'm used to having people in a classroom setting where we ask a lot of questions and interface back and forth. So anyway, you're done. We're finished. Unless you have some Q&As in there that you would like me to respond to. Let me see. I'm looking in the QA now and see if I see anything. Whoops. Hang on there. Let's see. We'll point. Okay, as our Q&A right here. I don't know if I'm not going to say who asked it, but the question is, how do you determine how much each school will receive? It's based on a formula. First of all, you have to be a certain percentage free and reduced students. This year, the cutoff was at 74.6%. And then it's schools that are less than 100, they received $75 for the student count from your October 16 data report. And then schools that had students 100 or more received $50, once again, based on your October data, billing data. Okay, and then I just drew it down at $4.5 million. I drew it down until it was all spent, until that $4.5 million was spent. And then the schools and districts that applied that were below that threshold, which was it was all spent by 74.6%. They did not receive any funding, even though they applied. Okay, hopefully that answered your question there. Let's see what. Yeah, education is not another question here. Nutrition education is not required but encouraged to be integrated into the program. Absolutely, yeah, it is. You know, we certainly recommend it and would like to see you advertise. Do some nutritional education, but certainly you don't have to. So keep that in mind. Yes, another question, are the fruit and vegetables to be eaten on the same day? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Teachers sometimes don't serve it served later in the day. Yeah, it's the way restrictions are is it needs to be consumed on the same day, of course, and you cannot serve your fresh fruit and vegetable program during breakfast meal time and during lunch meal time. Okay, so just make sure it's outside of those time areas. Overtime, yes, overtime needs to be approved. Question overtime. You need to, yes, if you're going to run an overtime on your fresh fruit and vegetable program, you need to get that approved through us, OSPI. And keep in mind, you have only 30% you can spend on direct labor and small supplies, so don't go over that. So overtime's costly. I would recommend that you find a way around that if you can. Okay. No claims. I'm sorry if I did say that. That is incorrect. Somebody's asking if you file your fresh fruit and vegetable program claim through WINS. No, you do not. No, it's in the fresh fruit and vegetable program website. It's a template, and then after you fill it out, you will email it directly to Heidi Kidd. And she's shown on the picture there, her email address. So if I said you do it through claims, that was an error. You do not. We're trying to get it so that you can. Claims, as you all know, is a work in progress. So certainly that is our aspirations, so that you can file this later date in WINS. Okay, let's see. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, somebody's asking, will you get in trouble if you run out of money before the end of September? Yes, you will. No, you will not get in trouble. No. This money is allocated for the year. You received period 1 was to carry you from July to September of 2017. And period 2 is where the bulk of your funds are. That's to carry you from October 1 through September 30th of 2018. If you run out of funds before that, then you don't get in trouble. It's just that you can't run your fresh fruit and vegetable program because you have no funds left. Okay. So just keep that in mind. We don't want to see you do that. We want to see you stretch that out and make sure you utilize it for the entire year. It's kind of like I don't know. You start something, if you don't keep going at it, you maybe lose interest or you forget. Kids are like that too. So if you have something going every month of the year, I think that would be the right thing to do. So try to budget your fresh fruit and vegetable funds the best you can. And also this year, as I mentioned before, in September, you will not be receiving additional funds like you have in the past. So the funds in period 2 that you're receiving when you're planning your fresh fruit and vegetable program through the year, make sure you have saved a little bit aside for your startup costs in the beginning of your school year next year, because you will not receive, if you qualify next year, you will not receive additional fresh fruit and vegetable funds until October 1st. Okay, so that's very important to keep that in mind. That's quite a bit different from what you've done in the past, especially with folks that's been around. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Excuse me. What happens if you overspend the first period? No, nothing happens. We don't want you to overspend. What happens if we overspend? Some districts have a tendency to overspend a little bit, and we just ask the feds to provide more funds for us, and or you won't receive the full claim reimbursement. So yeah, you can't mix and match two different periods this year because we're going on a federal fiscal year plan, and starting October 1st of this year, your train of thinking has to change to the fact that you're not receiving funds in two periods. From October 1st of this year forward, you'll be receiving funds, one lump sum for one period, and you have to stretch that out to make sure that you have funds to operate every month, including startup funds for the September year, September startup of your schools. Once again, this is a federal program, and federal folks decided they wanted this program to run on the federal fiscal year, which is October 1st through September 30th, not our normal school year. So that's different to a lot of you folks. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Okay, let's see. Another question about the nutritional education. It's certainly important that you educate as much as possible. So certainly encourage you to do it. You don't have to, but encourage you to do it. Okay. Okay, I don't see any additional questions at this time. So wait a minute. Okay, that's it. Everybody, have a successful program this year, and enjoy your additional funds for Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, and we'll hope you the best. Have fun. Thank you. Bye now.